Alright traders, George here, and time for a look at gold. Last video I did was actually 30 days ago, December 7th. Today, January 7th. Not too much has changed. Where we are right now is 12.30s. If you look to the left, this little balance beam right here, price being over 12.02 gives it the ability to move up and try to move up into this area here. I'm talking about this from a potential long setup. As I talked about in the last video, this would be a good fulcrum to look for price to move over for longs and below for shorts. There was a break below here that went very well in favor. There was a break above here that went in favor, a break below here, enough for a good scalper, and then just recently a break above here. So this has been a good trading zone. Right now, with it being about 10 bucks over this spike, it's already found a bit of resistance as it moves into the floor of this zone here, and this is more heavily traded. With 12.02s holding, we'll look for a clean test of the spike here, and that comes in at 1241.70. 1243 is an old forecasted price target I had for downside before we even broke the 1400 level, and that's still essentially playing out as a relevant zone, really showing a lot of crowd psychology based on prior price action resonating at that price point. So basically over 12.02s, I'm looking for a clean hit at 1241s like we had right here, and over that then a very significant overhead resistance piece here. The floor of this comes in at 1283.40s. It's really 1282. I'm going to scoot that down just a bit. This comes in at 1323s. So those are also two old price points that have been very familiar if you've been following the price action. We did make some new structure lows here for gold, but they've recovered the round number of 1200, and they're trying to put in a bottom here. One of the things that I pointed out in some other markets this morning in the live room that's actually happening on this chart here is there's this downtrend like so, where 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 resistance swings hit this line on the way down. Didn't really draw it that well there. But on this move up, it breaks that downtrend, and that's on an impulse, not just price moving sideways through that downtrend. Once it broke above that, it found resistance right on the spike here, and then it faded. And this action right here is a reverse trend line touch. It rides on the other side of the trend line and then crosses back over a key horizontal level. So there's a reverse trend line touch right here that's currently setting up the moderate bull action we're seeing over 1200. That's something to watch there. So this is now, for those of you that got long over 12.02s, you saw a pretty good pop here just recently. And where it is right now is it's kind of in no man's land between this area. So we'll see if it comes back to test this as support, if it just continues up and starts to grind its way toward this more significant target, or if it breaks below and then drives lower. The old video that I did, here are the price points that I had below, and guess what? They're still relevant right now. Can use the same thing, almost looks the same there. So where we are right now is if we break below 12.02s, we have to get through a balance beam, and I had 1188.70s as an entry, but what I really wanted to show you were the lower price points here: 1165.90, 1141.10, and 1071.30. These price points here, these would be ones to look at for a more significant move below 1200. And where you get in there really depends on what period value chart you're looking at. On this one right here, we could really look to be more aggressive just under 1190, essentially breaking that floor. But I want to look at this from a bull perspective right now until we break below 1200 again, and so that's why I'm showing this to you. I also want to talk about the gold miners, probably the worst sector for the longest time, and one that I've really highlighted quite a bit as an area of a lot of problems for traders, not following what the real market is doing, the key equity indices being extremely bullish, with lots of sectors being very bullish, but obstinately traders looking to bottom feed rather than look for bullish trends and bull continuations. It's okay to have a couple bottom feeders in the process, but that's not what most people do. They overcommit, and then they're essentially holding bear continuation pattern trading instruments. But gold is trying to put a bottom in here at 1200. And one thing I'll show you real quick here is GDX. This is an ETF that well, it's got Goldcorp, Barrick, Newmont, and Rheingold as 30% of its holdings. This is it right here. And you can see it's got a similar scenario as to what gold futures are doing. The spike here and the floor of this lower register balance beam. We've got a symmetrical double bottom here. We've got a good bounce off of the signal side there. And it's moved pretty well from 18 up to about 2050 or so and sort of stalled out. Look to the left. Another balance beam spike right here. That's acting as resistance right now. And so the initial pop here has already happened. Talked about that in development. There's the follow through now. It's a matter of how far is it going to pull back. Will it find some support and then reattack these highs? Will it just blast through them, or will it roll over and then just keep going? That's the TBD. So where the GDX is right now, there's a little spike a bit higher than where it actually went, and I would look for price clearing this level here just by a tick for a new entry point, assuming we don't pull back from where we are. And if we do just stay here and just move up, clearing 21s essentially, we could see a pretty good pop through this air pocket up to the floor here. Got to respect these very heavy balance beams north of where price is and consider them to be extreme overhead resistance. So these will get the next two target labels there. Really quite a bit of work to get through all that, and if they do, we'll revisit it. But this is where the gold miner ETF is it had this nice pop here, that transition point right there. Love to see that. This steeper downtrend also broken on that move. If it happens to pull back into the mid 18s, would be a real interesting spot to find a buy zone, and more bullish would be if it just pulls back a little bit and finds something here. And what I'll do is I'll just drop in a couple more lines there, and I'll just code them so we know those are buy zones if it pulls back. Don't want to see it drop below the floor here at 17, but that's where the GDX is, and that accounts for, well, 30% of this is made up of 4 gold miners: GG, ABX, NEM, and GOLD. So this is another one that's starting to show a little bit of potential here. Also, one more mention to this support swing here. Support swing there, broken, tested as resistance at least for the time being. Will that convert back to support? We'll have to see. Again, bottom of the video, there's a link. You can use that to hop into the live room in the morning, Tuesday through Thursday. You can watch me do some day trading for oil, the mini Russell, NASDAQ, S&P, gold. Also look at some big picture stock and option ideas. And we'll be covering more on these charts and a lot of the other ones that you've seen in these videos. So make sure you sign up and hop in the live room. It's a great place to see some live action trades come to fruition. That kind of belief building really does a lot to move away from other processes for trading that may not be so beneficial. So we'll leave it there for now. We'll see you back in the live room.